When we started 17 years ago, there was only we went to the Sawridge Hotel. A good friend of mine was the manager at that time, and we sat down and talked to them and said we'd like to do a dinner dance for a fundraiser at the end of the year. And she said it would be a good idea, so that's what we did. And we had 135 people show up, and that's how we raised our $11,000 the very first year. Now every year it's 800 people. We don't advertise, it's sold out every year. And last year we raised 700,000. And this is our last year, and we are trying to go for $1 million. So we're calling ourselves, this is a year of 1,000,000 smiles.
I was actually 3 months pregnant when I found out Hannah had spina bifida. And the first day that she was born, she had to have back surgery, which was a big surgery. She had blood transfusion. And then she was a week old. She had to have a shunt put in for hydrocephalus. We took her home. She was 3 weeks old when we went home. John Foy came to my home and told me that he was going to help Hannah. It's an amazing, wonderful thing. She's a happy kid. She's awesome.
And Kids Forever, like I say, when they first called, it was, I'm not really sure the right way to say it. I mean, it was unbelievable, right? To imagine that, I mean, people who were basically strangers to us would have that much care and compassion, so.
It's been great that, like, we could build a ramp, we could get the equipment and medical supplies, and we actually got her a bike, a hand cycle bike, so it's great. It's just extra support that makes life easier.
They're definitely wonderful people, and they definitely put the needs of the children before anything else. It's always appreciated to have anybody to come and to give you that little extra help. So.
The first visit from Kids Forever, they came out and brought actually a blanket,
The quilt,
a
homemade quilt.
homemade quilt out to Nicholas, and just got to know the family a little bit, and then basically asked if we had any immediate needs, and at that time we did. We needed ankle-foot orthotic for Nicholas as well. Then at the gala, he presented us with the check for $20,000, so we were able to purchase the conversion for the van. At the time, just the fact of lifting Nicholas into the van, into a car seat, and with the old van we had to lift his wheelchair into the back of the van, so it was getting almost impossible. And it was to the point where we were not even wanting to take Nicholas out. There was the thoughts of taking Nicholas out was such a big ordeal that it was very difficult.
Our family life.
Yeah, and the mobility with Nicholas and being able to take him out. So it really made it much better for us as a family. Family outings now are a lot more accessible. There's no thought of, okay, we can't take Nicholas because it's too difficult to get him in the van. It's always, yeah, let's go whenever we need to go with Nicholas. So it's been a major improvement in our family's life, especially as Nicholas has grown.
If it hadn't been for Kids Forever giving us that donation for the van, we would definitely be burdened financially. So it really alleviated a lot of stress and financial burden that couldn't be avoided. We really needed this, and it really helped meet our needs.
There we go. Boop.
It's an amazing group, and they really do it because they care for families. They are there to try to help everyone they can, and they just have big hearts, and they do it because they have big hearts.
When we saw her in the incubator, we were very scared. She looked like a little cat or something like that. She was just hooked up to all kinds of tubes, and they were pretty certain that she wasn't going to make it. She was in the hospital for 6 months in the NICU, and during that time she had many surgeries. The most significant one was on her brain. She had a massive brain bleed in the NICU, and that required her to have a shunt placed in her brain to drain the excess fluid from her brain to her body. And just before we were discharged, we also found out that she was deaf. She has auditory neuropathy, which means that she doesn't hear the same way that other people hear. And so for 4.5 years she wore hearing aids, but they just weren't giving her the amount of hearing that she needed. So 2 years ago we decided to get her a cochlear implant. So she had surgery to have a electrical signal put into her ear in order to hear.
Oh.
I'd say the last 6.5 years have been intense. Very, like, life kind of revolves around Sadie, and sometimes that's hard for her siblings and for our family because we're constantly at appointments. Up until the time she was 4.5, we were almost daily at appointments. All of us were together when we met John Foy from Kids Forever, and it was like so exciting. Even though my other 2 children aren't physically benefiting from the actual cochlear implant or the wires or the batteries or the therapy that we're going to be able to pay for with this money, they were so excited because they know that it's going to help their little sister.
To be a volunteer, everybody has it in them. It's just that you got to bring it out yourself, and if you can help somebody that's in need, it's the greatest feeling you'll ever want to know. We never dreamed we'd be this big.